Today we are going to learn how SPI protocol can be used to transfer data or information between sensor, ADC and FPGA. You can use this tutorial as your BTech minor project if you want. Okay. The hardware that I have used here is one temperature sensor, one analog to digital converter, one FPGA, the Spartan 3E board. The temperature sensor that has been used here is LM35, and this temperature sensor senses the temperature ranging from -55 degrees centigrade to +150 degrees centigrade. So this is the LM35. Okay, so it has total 3 pins. The first pin, the first pin is power supply pin. Okay, the minimum voltage that we can supply is 4 volt and maximum is 20 volt. And the third pin is the ground pin, and the second pin, this one, the middle one, is the output pin, and the output pin gives the analog voltage. Okay, so here the second line, this second line, this pin gives the analog voltage as the output. Okay, what does it mean is the output pin, this second one, the output pin, it doesn't give temperature directly. See, it is the temperature sensor, so it should give me temperature reading, but here the output is analog voltage, so definitely it is not temperature. So it is giving analog voltage of the corresponding temperature that this LM35 senses. Okay, so if it senses 1 degree centigrade, then the output voltage will be 10 millivolt. So here we will get the 10 millivolt analog voltage. So 1 degree centigrade corresponds to 10 millivolt. So if the output we get is 150 millivolt, that means the temperature sensed is 15 degrees centigrade. If the output is -150 millivolt, then the temperature is -15 degrees centigrade. Okay. And this ADC, the ADC that we are using here is LTC1407A1. So this is from Linear Technology, and here it is written SPI controlled. This SPI controlled means the ADC supports SPI protocol. In my last tutorial I had explained how the SPI protocol works. So the SPI control is it supports SPI protocol, and this onboard means we are not using any external ADC. So this ADC is on the FPGA board itself. Okay, I will show you this one. Okay, so this is the FPGA board, Spartan 3E. So this is the board. Okay, this is the board, and the FPGA is the middle portion. This black portion is FPGA. Okay, so it is the number here given, it is, and this part is the CPLD. CPLD means complex programmable logic device. Okay, so apart from this FPGA chip and CPLD, it has some other components also, like here LCD, one JTAG, then one SPI flash, then one DDR HDRAM, platform flash, then NOR. Okay, NOR flash. So what we are interested in, the ADC, the analog to digital converter. Okay, so these pins, you can see right here, it is written analog to digital and digital to analog header pins. Okay, so this pin is SPI compatible, and these pins are dedicated for ADC and DAC communication. Here, see, here also one SPI pins are there. Okay, this is also dedicated to SPI, and this is also dedicated to SPI, but this, particularly this one, this header, these pins are dedicated for ADC and DAC. That means if you want to use ADC or DAC, or if you want to send or transmit some information or send some information and receive some information with ADC or DAC, then these pins are used. And this pin, suppose if you want to use some external hardware which is SPI compatible, okay, then we can use this header. Okay, So these pins are dedicated pins for analog to digital and digital to analog converter, and these pins are dedicated for external hardware, external SPI controlled hardware. Okay, so this is the J7 header, the one that I shown here. This one is okay, this J7 header. Okay, it has got 6 pin, it has 6 pin. Okay, this ADC header is okay. Then this one is the ADC. This is the ADC chip that I was talking about. Okay, this is the ADC chip, and this one is the amplifier chip. Okay, so this is from Linear Tech. It has got 3 pin SPI clock, ADC ONB, and SPI MISO, and this has total 5 pin. Okay, that means 5 clock signal. 5 pin means 5 clock signal. Five signal line, and it has 3 signal line. Okay, so I will explain about all these things. This is the block diagram. Okay, so see here, you can see the J7 header, 1 2 3 4 5 6, total 6 pin. So here this is the diagram, the real diagram. So here 1 2 3 4, total 6 pins are there. The B in A, B in B, these are the analog input. This is the externally, if this is the input V, so it has got two analog input. Okay, so this is analog input 1, then this is analog input 2, then this is the supply voltage 3.3 volt, and this is the ground pin. And this input V in A and V in B, it is given to amplifier. So we have 2 amplifier here, one amplifier this one, another amplifier this one. So directly we can give 2 analog inputs to 2 different amplifiers, and then again the output of this amplifier is again given to analog to digital converter. So it has got 2 channels. This is the first channel, and this is the second channel. Okay, so here we have 2 channels for analog to digital converter. What does this mean is, simultaneously we can send analog input voltage to amplifier, 2 different amplifiers, and this output of this 2 different amplifier is again fed to analog to digital converter input. So here we get 2 digital output. This is for channel 1, this is channel 1 digital output 1, and this is for channel 2. So here it is written channel 0, and here it is written channel 1. So the digital output is 14 bit. Here it is written 14, right? Here it is written 14. Here also it is written 14. So this is 14 bit. This is 14 bit. The total is 28 bits. Okay. So what is the use of this amplifier? I will explain. So this is the block diagram. We can say this is the Spartan 3E FPGA boards, and then it is we are controlling the amplifier part, and we are controlling here this ADC part. Okay. So next is this is the formula that we have to use. So this digital output, the 14-bit digital, here we are getting the 14-bit digital output, right? So how we are getting this 14-bit digital output? So the formula is this one. Okay, this 14-bit is what we are doing here, gain. We are multiplying the gain, and this gain we will get from this amplifier. Okay, then this is into, we are multiplying that one into V in minus 1.65 volt by 1.25 volt into 8192. Okay, so this V in part is this one. It is written V in A and V in B. So we have two different inputs. Directly we can give 2 different inputs to this ADC, and simultaneously we get two outputs, two digital outputs. Okay. And one thing here we have to remember is, 1 minute. Okay, this one, the input to ADC should be in this range, 0 volt to 2.5 volt. It should not be less than 0 volt, and it should not be more than 2.5 volt. Okay, so another important thing here is the input. See here, the input range is from 0 to 2.5 volt, but here it is written the input to the ADC pin should be more than 0.3 volt. It is more than 0.3 volt. Okay, what does this mean is, even though the input to ADC is 0 to 2.5 volt, but if the input voltage is more than 0.3 volt, then we get the proper output, proper digital output. Else if it is less than 0.3 volt, then we will get, definitely we are going to get the output, but it will be may not be the proper digital output. The range is no doubt it is 0 to 2.5 volt. Even if we apply 0.1 volt to this analog to digital converter, this volt 0.1 volt, then also we will get a digital corresponding digital 14 bit corresponding digital output. But that output, the digital output, may not be the correct one. So what it is mentioned in the data sheet, that the input voltage to the ADC should be more than 0.3 volt. Okay, so that we have to remember, and is very very important. Okay, and this V in, the input voltage is controlled by this gain, and the gain is set with the help of this amplifier. Okay, we have seen here this amplifier part, this two amplifier we have, and that gain we have to set with the help of this amplifier. Okay, I will show how that can be done. Okay, so how the gain can be set. See again why it is necessary. Let's say we have a sensor and the output is let's say it is 0.22 volt. Okay, the input to the ADC, let's say the input to the ADC is 0.2 volt, and it is directly coming from a sensor. Let's say it is directly coming from a sensor. Okay, now what? Because here it is written that the input to the ADC should be greater than 0.3 volt in order to get the proper digital output. But here the input is 0.2 volt. Then what we have to do? Definitely we are not going to get the exact or the proper digital output. So in this case, what we do? We multiply the gain. We use this amplifier. We use these two amplifiers. Okay, we use these two amplifiers and we amplify. What is the use of amplifier? It amplifies the analog input voltage, right? So in this case, what we will do here, we will amplify this 0.2 volt. We will amplify this 0.2 volt to minimum. It should be greater than, it should be greater than 0.3 volt in order to get the proper digital output. So if the input is less than 0.3 volt, then we will multiply or we will amplify that voltage to this level. It should be greater than 0.3 volt. Okay, that is the use of amplifier there. Okay, so how to set that gain is this one. There is table here. Okay, so we can set gain here 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 5, minus 10, minus 20, minus 50 and minus 100. Okay, it is written here. Okay, so how the gain is set here? Let's say we have seen the formula here, right? This digital output 14 bit digital output equal to gain is multiplied, then V in minus 1.65 by 1.25 into 8192. Okay, this is the formula. Then how so here let's say V in equal to 1.8 volt. Okay, and gain we are setting is minus 2 is this one. Okay, minus 2 is this one. So D13 is to 0 equal to gain into, as per the formula, gain means minus 2 into input voltage V in is 1.8 volt. So 1.8 volt minus 1.65, this is fixed value, by 1.25 into 8192. So how this minus 2 will be set? Okay, what we do here is, see this B3, B2, B1, B0, A3, A2, A1, A0. Okay, so if we want the gain of 2, then my bits should be, my B3, B2, B1, B0 should be 0, 0, 1, 0. So here B3, B2, B1, B0 should be 0, 0, 1, 0, and A3, A2, A1, A0 should be again 0, 0, 1, 0. So this B3, B2, B1, B0, this part, see, we have two channels, right? The ADC has two channels, two different channels. So two different analog input voltage we can apply simultaneously. Okay, so this is to set gain for this one, the input A, and this amplifier is used to set gain for this input B. Okay, so different gain settings are there for these two inputs. So here this B3, B2, B1 and B0 is for this one, for this input voltage 2. This means V in B, this analog voltage V in B. And this A3, A2, A1, 0 here, the A3, A2, A1, A0 is used, these bits are used to set the gain for this V in A, this input voltage. Okay, now it is clear. So here we have said gain equal to minus 2 means b3 b2 b10 is gain equal to minus gain this is for gain b, input b, and this is for a3 this is a3 a2 a1 a0 is to set gain for input voltage a. Okay, so 0, so this will be 0 0 1 0, this will be 0 0 1 0. So if you want to set the gain 0 means there is no changes, 0 0 0. If you feed 0 0 0 0, then we won't get any gain. So whatever the input voltage initially we got, the same voltage we will get out of that amplifier part. Okay, and if the if the input is minus, suppose the gain is minus 1, why it is written 0.4 to 2.9? See, input voltage range of ADC, if the gain is minus 1, then the input voltage to the ADC, see, this it is directly fed, the output of the amplifier is directly fed to this analog digital this ADC part. Okay, this A part is directly fed to this channel 0 ADC, the first ADC, and the this output of this amplifier B is directly fed to this channel 1 ADC. So here you can see here, so if the gain equal to minus 1, if the gain is set minus 1, then the input to the ADC, because all these gain, that means the corresponding output is given to the ADC input. So if the gain equal to minus 1, the minimum voltage and the maximum voltage, this is the minimum voltage for ADC 0.4, and the maximum voltage we get at the input of ADC is 2.9 volt. Like that, if the gain is minus 2, here it is written minus 2, if the gain is minus 2, then the input voltage, the minimum input voltage is 1.025 at the input side of the ADC, and the maximum voltage that we will get is 2.275 volt. See, you can clearly see here, right, from this table, that here I had mentioned that the input voltage to the ADC should be greater than 0.3 volt. If it is less than 0.3 volt, then we will get the output, but we will not get the proper digital output. So here also you can see the input voltage is always, whatever gain you multiply, minus 1, minus 2 to minus 100, the input voltage is always greater than 0.3, here 0.4, 1.025. Okay, all these values, all these minimum input voltage, this is voltage. Okay, this is voltage. Okay, all these input voltages are greater than 0.3 volt. Why it is so? In order to get the proper digital output, right? So next I will explain how these bits are sent and how this amplifier is configured, how the amplifier is configured with this 8-bit data. Okay, so here you can see this amplifier configuration. Okay, so these bits are sent. First what we do, first MSB is sent. So first MSB means B3 will be sent, then B2. So first will be B3, then next will be B2, then B1, then B0, then A3, then A2, then A1, then A0. So the first gain for amplifier B is set. That means for analog input, okay, this is corresponding to B in B, right? Input voltage B, and this is for input voltage A. So the first gain will be set for input voltage B. The next gain will be set for B in A. So at a time we directly send 8-bit data. We don't send 4-bit data separately, like this is the 4-bit and this is another 4-bit. Definitely it is for this input voltage input B, and it is for input A. But here what we do, we send 8-bit data simultaneously. Okay, so as it is a serial SPI is a serial communication, so one bit, then another, first this bit, first B3 we will send. For example, here the gain equal to minus 2, right? For gain equal to minus 3, it was 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 0. So first we will send 0, then 1, then 0, then 0, then 0, then 1, then 0, and then 0. Okay, on this SPI MOSI line. Okay, I will explain this one. Okay, then next is this one. Okay, see here how the ADC interfacing is done. I have explained here. Okay, how the ADC interfacing is done. This one, what do you do for this ADC interfacing with the FPGA? First we have to do is set the gain, thus how much gain you need as per your requirement. So first you have to check, as we have taken here the sensor part. Okay, we have taken it the sensor part. So the sensor, it will give me one input voltage, let's say it is V in A. Okay, because it I have simultaneously this we can use two input voltage, but if I take one sensor, then it will give me only one analog input voltage. Okay, so first we have to decide what is the output of this what is the output of this sensor part, whether it is less than 0.3 volt, because if it is less than 0.3 volt, then ADC won't work properly, so it should be more than 0.3 volt. So what we have to do as per our requirement, because if let's say it is 0.1 volt, let's say it is 0.1 volt, so in order to get 0.3 volt, we can multiply 3, right? Gain should be 3, 4, 5, 10. As per your requirement, you multiply the gain. You use the gain setting. So here it is written first, set the gain of pre-amplifier using SPI bus. So with the help of SPI bus, what we do? We do the gain setting. The gain setting is programmed after this MCS. There is a signal predefined signal called MCS. MCS means this amplifier chip select. So we are selecting the amplifier, pre-amplifier. Okay, so the gain setting is programmed only after MCS signal equal to 0. So this is the timing diagram. Okay, this is the timing diagram. So first this MCS, initially the MCS will be 1 high, then next what will happen, it will be 0. So it will go from 1 to 0, then only we can set the gain. So there has to be a transaction from high to low. Okay, so 1 to 0. So here it is written, the MCS has to be 0. Then what we do, 8 bit of data is sent via SPI MOSI at positive edge of 8 SPI clock to set the required gain. So this is the timing diagram. So once the MCS equal to 0, then we will be able to set the gain. Okay, so as this is using the SPI protocol, so and it is a serial communication. So and we know that in SPI protocol, all this transaction happens with respect to clock, with respect to SPI clock. So this is the SPI clock timing diagram. The SPI clock time, what it is written here, 30 nanosecond. So we have to maintain, in order to get the proper digital output, we have to maintain minimum 30 nanosecond for better result. And what is this? This clock edge, see, you can see here, this is this transaction is from positive to negative edge, right? Positive to negative edge. So when the negative edge here stops here, then it is 0. Then it is completely 0, MCS equal to 0. Then this part, this MCS equal to 0 to the positive edge. The positive edge of this SPI clock has to be minimum 30 nanosecond. Okay, we have to maintain this 30 nanosecond. We have to maintain this 30 nanosecond in between the MCS 0 and SPI clock, positive edge of SPI clock. Okay, what this part is, okay, this part is telling. Then this part is, this SPI clock, this SCK, this negative part. Okay, the down part has to be minimum 50 nanosecond and the positive part has to be minimum 50 nanosecond. That means the time period of this SPI clock, has to be minimum 100 nanosecond. In order to get, why all these things are required? Only to get the digital output, proper digital output. Okay, we have to maintain all these timings. Okay, it is very, very essential. Okay, so the positive part is 50 nanosecond and the negative part is 50 nanosecond. So the timing period, this time period for this SPI clock has to be 100 nanosecond. And then this SPI MOSI, see, this is the procedure for ADC interfacing. We are doing here, the first we are doing is the gain setting. So in the gain setting, if you remember, in the gain setting, what we are doing here, we are transferring the bits, right, for the gain setting. So we are transferring 0, 0. If gain equal to -2, if you select gain equal to -2, that 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, this data has to be, these bits we need to send to the amplifier, because we are setting the gain of the amplifier. So we have to send all these bits, these 8 bits. This is for input B and this is for analog input A. So we have to send these 8 bits 8 bits to the amplifier to set the gain. And how we are going to do that one? That one via this MOSI line, this SPI MOSI part. Okay, this is master out slave input part. The first we will send this B3 part. So this is sorry. So this one is already I have mentioned here. First we send MSB part. This is the MSB part. Okay, we send data from MSB to LSB. That we have to remember. Okay, MSB to LSB. So here what we will do? First B3 will come. First B3 will come. Then B2 will come. Then B1 will come. Then B0 will come. Then A3 will come. So like that A3, A2, A1, A0 will send first. Okay. So what we have to remember, see, this 30 nanosecond means this is the SPI clock positive edge, right? And this is the data part. So if you remember this on setup time. So this data can be either 1, it can be either 0. Okay. So the data on MOSI line should be valid or stable 30 nanosecond before clock positive edge. So before SPI clock starts here, before positive edge of SPI clock starts, the data should be available, or data should be available means we should have valid data, we should have valid or stable data. This is the definition of setup time, right? So that the setup time won't be violated. If you do not maintain the minimum 30 nanosecond before the passage of clock and the data comes, the data has to be stable. So either it has to be 1 or it has to be 0. So we have to maintain this 30 nanosecond in order to maintain this setup time. Okay, else possibility is there that we may not get the digital output. Okay, so the next is here is AMD out. It is not required. Okay, this timing is not required because this, you remember this AMD out, it is coming from the amplifier. That means it is coming from the slave. And if some signal is coming from the slave, then we cannot control this one, because the signal that we are sending, the signal that is sent by the master, that one only we can control. And if something is coming from the slave, we cannot control this one. And this one is coming from the slave, so we cannot control this one. So because it is the output of this amplifier. Okay. So the next is this one. Okay. Set the gain of pre-amplifier using, okay, you understood this one, right? The first MCS has to be 0. Then we send SPI MOSI, this 8-bit data for the gain setting via the SPI MOSI at the positive edge of 8 SPI clock. So because we have 8 data bit 0010, then 0010. So it will take total, how many clocks it will take total to send this 8-bit data? It will take 8 SPI clock. See, in order to avoid this setup time violation, it is better to send all these data bits, this 8-bit data not on the positive edge of clock, SPI clock. It is better to send data on the negative edge of clock, so that the setup time will be maintained properly. Okay. The next part is after the gain setting, make this amplifier CS signal equal to 1. So once that 8-bit data is sent, once that 8-bit data is sent, again what we have to do, because there is no need to send gain setting again and again. Once the gain setting is done, we don't do this gain setting again and again. So what you have to do, make this MCS equal to 1 permanently. Okay. What we do here is permanently what we do here, MCS equal to 1. We make MCS equal to 1 for entire duration of the ADC conversion. The next process is the ADC conversion start. So far the ADC conversion has not started, only we have set the gain part. As per our requirement, we set the gain part. Okay. So we will see here how this gain setting, this ADC conversion starts. Okay. So this is the diagram, this is the block diagram. This is FPGA, then it is a pre-amplifier, it is a ADC. Okay. So these are the signals for the ADC. These are the signals. Total 3 signals are there for the ADC conversion. One is SPI clock, next is AD CONB part, then SBI MISO part is there. Okay. See here you can see the direction FPGA to ADC. This part is, see, if this is a FPGA, let's say this is a FPGA and this is the ADC part. Okay. Some signals are coming from FPGA to ADC. One signal that as serial clock is coming from FPGA to ADC. Then this ADC CONB part is coming from FPGA to, this is also AD CONB, right? AD CONB. and another part is coming from this ADC to FPGA, and that one is meso signal. So from this one, what you need to understand is, if something is coming from the FPGA, this, you remember master, this SPI protocol, which one is the master? The one that initiates the transfer, or the one that produce the clock signal. So here FPGA produces this clock signal, this serial peripheral interface clock signal. That means here FPGA is the master, and the one who is responding to that control signal is called slaves. So here ADC is the slave. Like that, the amplifier. So this is the master, this amplifier is the slave, and ADC is also slave, because this SPI clock is initiated or produced by a master. So the one which produces the SPI clock is the master. So FPGA is the master, and the one which responds to all the control signal with respect to SPI clock is the slave. So here preamplifier is the slave, and this ADC is the slave. And we know that the slaves use SPI meso part in order to respond to the control signal sent by the master. So FPGA is sending, what it is sending? It is sending to set the gain to the preamplifier. Then it is sending again to ADC. Here we will see. Okay. So here, so digital output we will get, right? So we get the digital output from the ADC, and that digital output from the ADC. So the ADC will send that digital output, the 14-bit digital output, on this meso line. Okay. See here, you can see the output of the ADC. The output of the ADC is coming to master or FPGA on the meso line. So one by one, this is 14-bit. If it is 14-bit, this is the output is 14-bit. So this 14-bit will be transferred from the ADC to this FPGA 1 bit by 1 bit on this meso line. Master in, slave out. This is the slave, so this is the slave out, and this is the master in. Master is the FPGA, and the signal is coming from slave to the master. Okay. So this is the timing characteristic. Okay, this is very, very important. Only two things you have to remember here. The first one is the clock signal T clock. The clock period of this SPI interface has to be minimum 20 nanosecond, and maximum 10,000 nanosecond. That we have to remember. And this conversion time has to be 32, minimum 32 nanosecond and maximum 34 nanosecond. It should not be more than 34 nanosecond, and it cannot be, or it should not be less than 32 nanosecond. And as per your requirement, you check what are the things that is required, and maintain all these timings. Okay, if you do not maintain these timings, the given timing, then possibilities there is just violation of setup time, hold time, and we may get some error signal. Okay, we may not get the digital output properly. Here everything is written here. Okay, this is the ADCONB. If you remember this one, that procedure, see, this is the procedure. See, once the ADC, this is gain setting is done here. Then after the gain setting is done, MCS equal to 1 for entire duration, because we are not going to use this amplifier again once the gain setting is done. The third part is the ADC conversion starts. Okay, so before the ADC conversion starts, when the rising edge, the ADC CONB is asserted, means the ADC CONB is, it will be 1. And it takes 34 clock cycles to complete one ADC conversion. During this period, ADC CONB equal to 0. What does this mean is, see this part. First, the ADC CONB will be 1. Okay. Before this ADC conversion starts, the this signal has to be asserted. So this signal has to be 1. First, it will be 1. Then what happens? Then it will be 0. Okay, so there will be transaction from high to low. Okay, so what is the time period for this one? Minimum time period is 4 nanosecond. Means this width, this ADCONB width minimum has to be 4 nanosecond minimum that we have to maintain. Once the serial clock, this SPI clock starts, here the SPI clock starts, right? Then what we have to maintain here is 3 nanosecond. So once the ADC CONB starts, see, this is the positive edge of ADCONB. So the timing between the positive edge of this ADCONB signal and this SPI clock signal positive edge, the timing we have to maintain is minimum 3 nanosecond. It is written, okay, minimum 3 nanosecond we have to maintain. And already we know that this SPI clock timing is 20 nanosecond, right? Here we saw this one, right? The clock period, time period has to be minimum 20 nanosecond. So it is written here 20 nanosecond. 20 nanosecond we have to maintain, okay. And this SPI MOSI part, then what it is written here, then it takes 34 clock cycles. Then it takes 34 clock cycle to complete one ADC conversion process. And during the whole process, ADC CONB equal to 0. It means, see, what does this mean is this one, okay, this part. So once this ADCONB, there will be transaction from 1 to 0. So this is 1 to 0. So this, it is taking 34 clock cycle, right? So this is 34 clock cycle. Why it is 34 clock cycle is, see, we have 14-bit digital output, and we have two different channels, right? So 14-bit for channel 1, let's say it is channel 1, channel A, and again for channel B, again 14-bit. So this is 14-bit, this is 14-bit, this is 14-bit, 28-bit, right? So in between there is a gap of 2-bit. So this will be high impedance signal. This will be high impedance signal. So there will be no output for this one. Okay, 2 clock pulse is used here, and then after that, so it is 28 plus 230. See here, this part what I'm talking about. See, the total it takes after CONB equal to 0. After this signal will be 0, this ADCONB will be 0, then ADC conversion starts here. Okay, so it takes 34 clock cycle. So first two clock cycle, there is no output. This is a high impedance. This is a Z. Here it is written Z, right? High impedance. So this 2 clock pulse is used. It is used and it gives high impedance output, and we are not getting any output. Then we get the 14-bit for first channel, 14-bit for first channel, and 14-bit takes 14 clock pulse. So let's say it is 14 clock pulse. Okay, then again there will be a high impedance here. So it takes two clock. It takes, see here, high impedance in between two channel output, 14 bits, there is high impedance. So this is 2 clock, this take 2 clock, this take 14 clock for this 14-bit output. Again this takes 2 clock, this gave. Then for another channel, as we have 2 channels, so this one, and then again this take 14 clock. So total, how many clocks total it is required? 2 clock, 14 clock, 2 clock, 14. So total 34 clock cycles. The total is 34 clock cycles is needed for one conversion. That means if it is channel 1, so let's say it is 1.5 volt input volt, and let's say it is 1.2 volt input volt, and if you are giving it to ADC, then it will give 2 output, right? 2 digital output. So this is digital output 1, this is digital output 2. So to get this digital output 1 and to digital output 2, how many clocks are required? To get 2 outputs, not 1 by 1 output, 2 outputs. In order to get the 2 outputs, 2 14 bits output, we need 34 clock signal. Then okay, so after this 34 clock signal, what will happen? What we will do? Again this ADCONB, because till this 34 clock cycle, this ADCONB part equal to 0. See, this ADCONB, this conversion signal is it equal to 0. So once this 34 clock cycles happens and we get this 14 bit 28 digital 28 digital output bit, then again this ADCONB equal to 1 again. Okay, that means this ADCONB is the controlling signal. Once this ADCONB equal to 0, then only this ADC conversion starts, and it takes 34 clock cycles. See, here it is, procedure is written, everything is written here. Okay, so once the ADCONB is asserted, and then it will be from 1 to 0, it takes 34 clock cycle to complete one ADC conversion process. So we get two continuous digital outputs. Digital output means 14 bit. Then during this period, ADC CONB equal to 0. Then what is the fourth step? After 34 clock cycle again, the ADC CONB has to be high. So after 34 clock cycle, this ADC CONB will be high, and then digital data is output for both the ADC channel via the SPI MOSI. Already I have mentioned here the 14 bit, this 28 bit this digital output we will get via this SPI MOSI pin. Okay, and here both the channels are sampled simultaneously. Already I have explained here, this 14 bit is for first channel, and this 14 bit is for second channel. So this is for first analog input, this is for first analog input, and this is for second analog input. Okay, so simultaneously this ADC can give two different, means it can sample two different analog input. Okay, then the output of the ADC is 14 bit digital data into that. You have to remember, the data that we get are in 2s complement form. Whatever data we get, this 14 bit digital 14 bit digital data that we get is in 2s complement form. So how to get this, how to get the proper digital output of that one? We are multiplying here 8192. You remember this formula, 8192 we multiply. Because of that reason we multiplied 8192, so that we will get the exact digital output of the corresponding analog input voltage. Okay, so this is the step 6. In order to get the proper result from ADC, already I have mentioned here that timing diagram. Already I have given the timing parameter that has to be maintained, and as per the manufacturer's data sheet. Okay, then this step 3 and step 4 is repeated for consecutive ADC conversion. Okay, step 3 and step 4 means this part. Again this ADC CONB equal to 1, then again it has to be 0. So see here, again it has to be 1, then again 34 clock cycle, then again this process continues. Okay, and one thing we have to remember here is see, this is ADCONB part. So simultaneously we don't get this 14 bit and 14 bit, this 20 bit digital output here. This takes time, one sample, it is one sample delay. If it is written here, see, the converted data is presented with latency of one sample. Here it is written. So after this ADC CONB, simultaneously, here it is written simultaneously, that once the CONB is 0, ADC CONB equal to 0, then simultaneously we are getting, after some time we are getting this digital output. But it is not true actually. This output you will get for the first, suppose this is the first ADC CONB. Let's say this is the first ADC CONB and this is the second ADC CONB. Okay, so and it takes 34 clock cycle. After this 34 clock cycle, when we will get this first digital outputs, this 28 bit digital output is after this one. Here it is written latency of one sample. The latency of one sample means it is delayed. This 14 bit digital output, it is delayed by one sample. One sample means we will get this one. See here, you can see here the green one. So after this ADC CONB equal to 0, then only we get this one, this 14 bit output and this 14 bit output. Okay. So this is sensor, ADC and FPGA. Okay, so this is the ADC part, this is the FPGA part. So we know that it is a 2-channel ADC. So 2-channel ADC means two different inputs simultaneously. It can sample two different analog input voltage. So simultaneously we can use two sensor. But here I have taken only one sensor, this LM35 temperature sensor, but we can also take another sensor and simultaneously we can get two outputs. So as I have taken one input here, sorry, one sensor here, so it will give me one analog input voltage, then I will get this output part, not this output part. Why? Because I have only used one sensor, and that means here I have used only one. I am getting one analog output output voltage out of this sensor. If I will be using two sensors, then I will get two analog voltage, and that will be fed to this ADC, and I will get this one and this one also. So here, as we have taken only one sensor, I will get this part only, this output one. That means it is a 14 bit. I will get only 14 bit, not 28 bit here, because I have used only one sensor here. So this is the board. Okay, this is the board. So this is my temperature sensor. This is my temperature sensor LM35, and see, if you remember this one, already I had explained that this there was a J7 header, right? So it has got 6 pin, and that is dedicated for this ADC part, ADC and DAC part, analog to digital converter and digital to analog converter part. And then I had shown that another SPI this pins, other SPI pins were also available on the board, and that time I mentioned that it is for external hardware. So if you want to use some external hardware that is SPI controlled, then we can use this one. See, I have here taken one RF sensor here. One RF sensor I have taken this part. This is RF sensor. So as this is external one, see this ADC, why I have used this temperature sensor here. I have taken here, and because this data I am giving it to the onboard ADC, the ADC chip, and for this ADC chip, this SPI control ADC chip, I am bound to use this one. I am bound to use these pins. But for external hardware, any other external hardware that is SPI control, I have to use these SPI pins. Okay. And this is the Verilog coding. Okay, this code I have written, and it will work very fine. Okay, but this code is very lengthy. You can always write a better code, and if you watch this tutorial till the end, then definitely you will be able to write, because once you understand how it works, how the amplifier works, how to set the gain, then how the ADC conversion starts, if you get to know all this process, then you can write a better code. The one that I have written here is to make you all understand in simple way, then what are the steps, then how the amplifier gain is set. Means even if someone who can understand the Verilog code, that individual can also understand after watching this Verilog coding part. Okay, so you can always write a better and efficient Verilog coding. Okay, so this is the process. I have already mentioned all these steps. So interfacing on board with ADC. So this is the this module ADC. Okay, one thing I forgot actually. See this one. This part is here, it is written, see, the onboard SPI bus is shared among peripherals like ADC, DAC, platform. See, when here we saw that on the FPGA board there is a SPI flash. So this flash is also SPI controlled. Means the flash is also using here SPI bus. This memory is also using SPI bus. Then this platform flash is also SPI bus. Okay, then here this DAC, there is a digital to analog converter here. Okay, here there will be a digital to analog converter, and this digital to analog converter is using this SPI bus. So there is a possibility that when we will be using ADC, all these IC are also using See this part. See, all these IC like digital to analog converter, then platform flash, then Strata Plus, all these components are also using this SPI bus, the onboard SPI bus. So possibility is there that they may interfere with the ADC communication. Okay, so what we have to do here is all these peripherals like a DAC, platform flash, then this flash has to be disabled. It has to be disabled for proper interaction of SPI bus with ADC, because all these they share the same SPI bus. This ADC, DAC, platform flash, then Strata Plus, all these they share the same same SPI bus. So we have to disable all other components, all other IC, so that we'll be able to use this ADC properly, and this ADC will be able to use this SPI bus independently. Okay, so we have to disable this one. So how to do that one? This is the Verilog code. Okay, these are the control signals. These are the control signals I have taken. So everything is written here. Okay, everything is written here. So this is the amplifier select signal, the SPI clock signal, ADC conversion control, see ADC CONB, that ADC conversion controller signal. And another thing, see this part you have to remember, this one. If something is, this is the master, right? This FPGA is the master. If something is coming out of this FPGA and it is going towards this, these are the slaves, right? These are the slave, this is also slave. So whatever is coming from the master and is going, this is pointing to these slaves, that has to be the output. So when you will be writing the code for this SPI controlled ADC, then it has to be the output, that these signals has to be the output, because it is coming out of master. So SPI MOSI has to be the output. AMCS, it is also going, it is coming from FPGA, this is has to be the output. SPI clock, it is coming from the master FPGA, so this has to be the output. Then ADCONB part, it is also coming from the master. This one ADCONB, it is also coming from the master, so it has to be also the output. Then what will be the input to FPGA? This SPI meso part, only this SPI meso part, because it is coming from the ADC, that is a slave, and is going to FPGA. Okay, that you have to remember. Okay, so here you can see this ADC CONB, this SPI clock is the output, AMCS is the output, then CONB, SPI MOSI, all these are outputs. Okay, and what will be the input? Input is the SPI meso part. Okay, SPI meso will be the input. Okay, then what we have, these are some of the counter. Okay, these are some of the counter I have taken here. Why I have taken this counter? Because already it is mentioned, right, that it needs 34 clock cycle for the ADC conversions. So how we'll get to know the 34 clock cycle is it happened already, it came 34 clock cycle. Okay, so here I have taken the counter for counting that one, the 34 clock cycle. Then this counter is for, see this is a 14-bit data, right? 14-bit data. So I have taken that one, that 16 clock pulse I have taken here, because this 14 plus 2, 14 is the bit, 14 digital bits, then 2 is extra bit. You remember 2 is extra bit, that is a high impedance. So total 16. So this we have to count that one. Then after 16 only we get another digital outputs. So here I have taken 16 clock pulse for that one. Okay, then this is gain count. You remember this gain, we need gain 8-bit gain setting, and for that this counter is for that ones, for that 8 clock pulse signal. Okay, then this is the ADC output, 14-bit ADC output. This is also 14-bit ADC output. Okay, and this is the output, this is the output of the ADC. Okay, so gain setting, that the gain setting is predefined, right? It is the so you have to initialize then gain setting. Okay, this is, here we have taken gain setting equal to -1, and if you go through that table, gain setting table, then you will find that the gain setting, if you want to set the gain for -1 as per your requirement, if you need gain setting 2, then you can take 2. So here gain setting for gain setting -1 equal to 0001 and then 0001. This 4 bit is for gain, this is for channel B, right? So it is for analog input, second analog input, and this is for analog input 1, first analog input. So we have initialized here. Okay, So these are the states. We have taken states, different states, and you remember this disabling. We disable all these peripherals that is using the SPI bus. And what are the peripherals? Flash, SPI flash was there. So these are the control signal. Okay, so it is there on the FPGA this data sheet, or we can say that FPGA manuals. Okay, so we are disabling here. The first one is the SPI flash, then here the parallel flash PROM, then here the flash, platform flash, then we are also disabling the DAC. These are the controlling signal. If you give 0, then it is disabled. It is 1, then it is 1, then 1. Okay, then again what we have done here is clock division by 25. See, this FPGA onboard clock, the default clock for this FPGA Spartan 3 is 50 megahertz. But we saw some timing diagram, right? So in that it was written that minimum it has to be 20 nanosecond. 20 nanosecond. So in order to get that 20 nanosecond, minimum 20 nanosecond, here what we are doing here, we are dividing the clock. So the input is 50 megahertz clock, and we are dividing this one, divided division by 25. That means 2 megahertz clock. Here we have taken 2 megahertz clock. Okay, so this is the clock division. This was the clock division. 2 megahertz clock. Okay, and this one is also clock division. This part. This is the clock out. This clock out is 2 megahertz. Okay, this clock out is 2 megahertz. So this one is negative, the negative edge of clock, and this means this is the clock division coding. Okay, this is the clock division coding. This part is okay. This part is clock division coding. This part and this part is clock division coding, and the clock out that we get, this one is a 2 megahertz clock. This one is a 2 megahertz clock. Okay, so these are some of the controlling signal. Okay, already I have told that you can write this code in better way. Okay, so here this is 16-bit data, right? If you remember, 14-bit digital output, 14-bit digital output, and 2-bit we are taking 0 0 here, because that high impedance part is there. So we are assigning that because during that high impedance, 2-bit high impedance part, we are not getting, that is the output will be JAD. High impedance means JAD. So at that time we are taking 0 0. Okay, so total we will get 16-bit. Okay, so this is the state diagram, state machine. I have taken here state machine. So this is initially SPI clock equal to 0, AMP SHDN equal to 0, ADC CONB equal to 0. You remember first the conversion has to be ADC CONB will be 0, then 1, then 0, then MCS equal to 1. This is the initialization process. Okay, we are initializing the signals. Then this is the state 1. This is the state 1. Then these are the states. Okay, state of the ADC. Okay, so first MCS equal to 0, then this is the gain setting. Okay, this is the gain setting. Means that because we have taken here gain equal to 1, right? So 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. Okay, so first say the data gain. You remember this data gain part? This data gain. We know that this gain setting is done from MSB to LSB. So first the data gain of this data gain of this one 0, data gain of 0. This is the MSB part, right? This is the MSB part. Then this one 0 0 0 1. Then how these things can be done? See here. This is the gain setting. So data gain of first is gain count. You remember gain count where I have taken one variable here, then 8. So 8 minus 1 equal to 7. So data gain of 7. It is transferred to the SPI MOSI. Okay. On the negative edge of clock, and MCS equal to 0. You remember when MCS equal to 0. 1 minute. If you remember this signal, this part. This part. When AMCS is here, when AMCS equal to 0, then only we are setting the gain, right? Here, this part. So here we are doing the same thing. So AMCS equal to 0 here, then we are setting the gain. So we are sending that 8-bit data. So first data gain of 7, then 6-bit, then 5-bit, 4-bit, 3-bit, 2-bit, 1-bit, and last one the 0-bit. We are sending that 8-bit on MOSI line. then the data that will be received by the amplifier, then the gain will be set. Okay, the gain will be set. So these are different steps. Okay, if you read it carefully, if you go through once this one, then you will understand what I have written. Okay, 5, then step 6, then step 7, step 8, step 9, step 10. Okay, some of the steps I have written here to delay or for delaying the signal, SPI clock signal, and not to violate this what do you call this setup time and hold time. Okay, then once the gain setting is done, what we have done here is disabling gain setting after gain the MCS equal to 1. You remember this one? Once MCS equal to 0 and gain setting is done, then MCS has to be 1 for rest of the time. The MCS has to be 1, because we are not going to use it anymore. Okay, this MCS part. Okay, this CS controlling signal. So here MCS equal to 1 permanently here. Okay, then the next part is ADC CONB conversion starts. Okay, so see, this starts ADC here. This ADC CONB equal to 1. So this ADC CONB equal to 1, you remember this one, this ADC CONB equal to 1 controlling signal. 1 minute. This part. So once this ADC CONB equal to 1, then it has to be 0. Then after 34 clock cycle, again it has to be 1. The same thing here. Okay. So this one ADC CONB equal to 1, then it has to be 0. It has to be 0. Okay, it has to be 0. Then I have delayed it. I have delay for some time. Okay, why I have delayed means, again for the setup time and the setup time, so that it won't violate setup time. You remember that timing characteristic, that in between the two positive edge, or from negative edge to positive edge, that 3 nanosecond and 5 nanosecond, like that something has to be maintained. For that one only I have taken here delay. Okay, I have given delay here. Okay, then what we have to do here is this part. Okay, see, so we are counting here whether it is 34 clock pulse or not, because it takes 34 clock signal for the first ADC conversion. Okay, so first two bit the ADC output equal to 0. Okay, first 2 bit. So here I have taken one clock count, ADC clock count, and here I'm trying to find out whether it is two clock happened or not. Okay, 2 clock came or not. Okay, the first 2 clock ADC output equal to Z. Then after that, after this 2 clock signal, what I am checking here is the first 14 bit data for channel 1. Okay, or we can say channel 0, we can say here. Okay, so if clock count greater than 2 means when the third clock starts, and when the ADC clock count less than equal to 16, third clock to 16 clock count. So what I am getting here? I am getting here the ADC output, 14-bit ADC output, and ADC output is coming on meso line. You remember, ADC output is coming on meso line. So whatever I am getting on meso line from the ADC, what I am doing here? I am getting on ADC data out. There is we have taken two signals, right? 2 variables, that output variables, ADC data 1 and ADC data 2. ADC data 1 is for first ADC output, and second ADC output ADC data 2. Okay, so whatever is coming from the ADC, it will come on SPI meso line, and that whatever data we are getting, 14-bit data, we are assigning it to ADC data 1. The same here this if it is greater than 16 and ADC clock count 18, the next 2 clock pulse is used is for again output equal to Z. If you remember this one. Okay, if you remember this one, first 2 clock pulse no output, then 14 clock pulse 14 data, then again 2 clock pulse no data, then again 14 data is there, okay, so this is as previous. So again the same thing. Okay, so 2 clock pulse, there is no data here, then again 18 to 32 clock pulse, what we are getting? Again 14-bit data we are getting, here we are getting. Okay, so again SPI MOSI, this part is channel 2. Okay, channel 2, then 33, if you see, so after 32 it is over. Okay, then the last one is the 33 clock pulse. Okay, 33 clock pulse. So 33 clock pulse, again it is again state equal to 20. So 20 means this part, okay. 20 means this part. So you check it once, you once go through all these codes, then you will understand, okay. Then the next process is getting ADC output in 2 channels simultaneously after 34 clock cycles, and when ADC CONB equal to 1 again for second, okay. So when ADC CONB equal to 1, then we get, you remember that it is delayed by one sample. So at that time it is ADC so when ADC CONB equal to 1, then we get our first sample, means first sample in the sense our 14-bit to 14-bit data, okay. So next what we will do here is we will repeat the same process. We will repeat the same, you remember the state 16 we repeat the same process, means here again ADC CONB equal to 1. In order to get those 14-bit data, again we will start the same process, ADC CONB equal to 1. So 16, this one is 16, okay. This one again we will start ADC CONB equal to 1 here, again ADC CONB equal to 1, then again it will be 0, then again it will take 34 clock cycles. So this process continues, okay, and we will get the output. And if you simulate this one on Xilinx ISC, then definitely we will get the output, okay. So this I wrote this code already. Originally it was simulated on Xilinx platform, okay, but I have also written this code. This is it won't give any error, okay. I have also written the same code in my model sim. This is a model sim software, okay. Model sim 10.1c, okay. So this is the same code. This is the same code, but as I had used this Xilinx Spartan 3E board. So because in order to check the output, here we cannot check the output, right? Because this model sim is not a FPGA softwares. It is just a simulator, okay. It is just a simulator. We cannot use this FPGA board with this model sim. So these are the outputs that I got, okay. Then what I had done was this then output data observed in ChipScope Pro debugging tool. Then I use the this debugging tool. Then I use the debugging tool, the ChipScope Pro. If you know this ChipScope Pro, so these are the outputs that we got, okay. So these are the output, digital output. See, you remember this ADC CONB equal to 1, then it will be 0, and during this 0 part I got this output. Then again ADC CONB equal to 1, I got the output. Then ADC CONB equal to 1, I got the output. Okay, this is the ChipScope Pro analyzer, okay. It is there on Xilinx ISC. So this is the output of this LM35. This is the output of the temperature sensor, okay. So these are the outputs. These are the 16-bit outputs. You remember, because I have taken only one sensor, right? I have taken only one sensor, so I will get only this 14-bit data. I will only get this 14-bit data, and I will not get this one, because there is no input for this second channel, okay. So these are some of the output samples. So I have taken here Bin equal to 1.8 volt, then gain equal to 2, then I got these outputs, okay. And these are the output, okay. See, these are the 14. Here also, see, you can check here this output sensor data here. These are the 14. So this is 0, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, fourth. This 13. This is a 14-bit data, okay. 14-bit data, because I have taken only one sensor, okay. 14-bit data. Then here also this is a 14-bit data. This is the 14-bit data, okay. So you see, once CONB equal to CONB equal to 1, CONB equal to 1, then only CN 1 to 0, then only we get the output here, okay. So this is Vin equal to 1.8 volt and gain equal to 2. 2 means it is a minus 2, okay. Then this is the output for Vin equal to 1.8 volt, Vin equal to 1. And no gain. So I have taken no gain here, okay. So these are the output, okay. These are the output. and this is the ADCONB part. This is the conversion signal, ADCONB signal. Okay, and this one is gain equal to V in equal to 1.17 volt, gain equal to 1. This is the output, and this is V in equal to 2.5 volt. The maximum, you remember this maximum input voltage should be 2.5 volt. Okay, for ADC. So I have taken V in equal to 2.5 volt. There is no gain. Then I am getting here this 16-bit data. Okay, the 16-bit 14-bit, sorry, 14-bit data. This is the 14-bit data. Okay, so these were the outputs, and if you want to use, these are the UCF. Okay, these are the UCF file for this project. So this you can use this whatever I have explained. You can use this as your BTech project in order to learn how the Verilog coding is done, how the interfacing is done, how the SPI protocol works. Okay, how the hardware interacts with the software. Okay, and this is a very, very good project, if I can say. Okay, so and it will be very, very beneficial if you really learn and if you do this project in your BTech. Okay, so this is the end of the video, and it is quite bit lengthy. Okay, so and I tried my best to explain each and every part, each and every details, both theory, then every component, every IC that I have used, then the FPGA part, and the Verilog coding part. I have also explained the Verilog coding part, then Chipscope Pro debugging output result, then LM35 about the sensor. So I hope that you all understood, and if you really learned something new today, then you can like this content, and you can also share, and if possible you can do this one as your BTech project. Okay, so thank you so much for watching.